Good morning, guys. Okay, it's actually not even morning anymore. It's noon, but it kind of feels like morning because all I've done today was getting ready and having breakfast, which, by the way, consisted of a bread that I found in my freezer from April. And that pretty much sums up how my past few months went to waste. And now that the year is over, it's usually the time where I sit down, feel bad about myself, promise myself to stick to all my good habits, and then do them for a whole 2 months before slowly falling back into my old self.
And then the year is over and this whole cycle starts again.
And if you can relate, this video is for you because we are gonna do a complete 180 on our life. And this time, stick to it. And to make sure this actually works, I've done a ton of research and created a very detailed plan, which would be way too much for one video. So this is gonna be a series where I walk you through my process and we can do all of this together. So if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of the next steps. And by the way, you don't have to wait until the next year or next birthday or even next month. Whenever you feel like you want to change, like deeply change, you can start this process. So without further ado, let's start with step number 1, the complete reset. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, this is the part I always skip because it's the least fun, at least for me. But through my research, I realized this is the part that makes or breaks the whole process. And that's because your brain is your biggest enemy here. Because your brain loves 2 things, predictability and familiarity. And if you try to change, everything's new. And new means unpredictable, unfamiliar, and unsafe. So it will always try to protect you from that and bring you back into your old self. So in this reset part, you have to try to remove everything that your brain could grab onto to drag you back into your old self. That's definitely much less fun than creating the goals, but it's probably the most important step in this whole process. Without it, in a few months, you will be back in your old life. Okay, so the first step is the physical reset, which means a complete declutter and deep clean of my apartment, especially the parts that I usually like to skip because no one can see them. And to be honest with you, I am quite a messy and I hate cleaning. So I have a lot of these spots. This might come as a shock, but apparently it's not the smartest idea to clean the oven in a white top. Okay, I'm finally done and I'm very proud of myself because I think this kitchen never looked this clean since we live here, which is sad. But yeah, I'm happy I've done that, but I still haven't organized my cupboards and this was just one room, so I have 3 more left and it's dark outside, so a whole day is basically gone. Okay, so if you're done with the cleaning, you can be super proud of yourself, especially if you're as messy as I am. But the next part is even more important, and that's to get rid of your old self. What I mean by that is to get rid of everything in your environment that reminds you of the person you no longer want to be. For example, memories from a phase where you were a little toxic, or something that reminds you of an old relationship. Anything that has the potential to drag you back into your old self. Now, you can do this to different degrees, but you should try to get rid of as much as possible, especially when it comes to stuff that you use every single day. Which means for me that I have to tackle the worst part of this apartment, my closet. It doesn't even look that bad until you open the drawers. Like, this one is for my jeans and leggings, but right now it looks like the last chance sale section of Primark. Bruh. Okay, so I ended up not filming anymore because the light went away. And I'm so sorry for the lighting. Anyway, the good news is, look at this. Not perfect, but definitely much better than before. And everything is so nicely organized. I tried to get rid of as much as possible, but to be fair, I just recently bought a bunch of things. So I didn't want to throw that away because that's technically part of my new self. So, closet done. Okay, so now that we're done with the physical environment, it's time to look into the digital one. This part is actually often overlooked in these kinds of resets. It's just crazy if you think about it, because we spend almost as much time in the digital world as in the physical one. So we should treat it with the same priority. Now, this step highly depends on how you're using your devices. I use my laptop mainly for work and my phone for private stuff. So I will start with the easy part, my laptop, but to be honest with you, I was treating this laptop even worse than my physical environment. I think about it 2 or 3 years ago, and I've never taken the time to do any kind of decluttering. So it's a mess. Please don't judge me. I told you it's bad. I have so much stuff. It's crazy. Look at all these random screenshots. So I will just have to go through them and oh my gosh, what is this? Amazing. Okay, that one is from my last video. Amazing photo, love it. Probably won't keep it. Yeah, no, I think I can put all of this away. I don't need that anymore. Okay, so this is what I meant by this step is highly individual. I personally use Notion a lot. It's such a cool tool. I plan and do basically everything in there. So obviously that's also a big mess. But for you, it could be any other app that you're using a lot in your daily life. So I'm not going to show you this one because it's highly personal. It's like a look into my mind and soul. But I can tell you, it is a mess. Like, I found 3 different big documents about vision and strategy, all made in 1 year, and not one of them did I touch or follow through ever since. Also, 2 vision boards and a bunch of big projects that I started and never finished. So yeah, a very humbling, embarrassing experience. I just realized a major flaw in my plan. I wanted to show you how I'm decluttering my phone, but right now I'm filming on my phone. So let me just explain what you should cover here. You should start by going through all the apps and ask yourself, what do you really need? Because I personally have a ton of apps on my phone and I use like 50% of them. You can do the same trick as with stuff in your physical environment and ask yourself, have you used it in the past 2 or 3 months? If not, then it can go. And then depending on whatever social media apps you're using, go through each of them and try to curate your feed in a way that is helping you. What I mean by that is to unfollow every account and every person that is dragging you down or has any kind of negative influence on you. So unfollow any kind of toxic page or people that are not part of your life anymore, especially, and I can't stress this enough, especially any kind of ex or situationship or person that treated you badly in the past. That is literally bringing you back into a past you don't want to be in anymore. And also don't be scared to unfollow people from your school or uni that you haven't talked to in years and honestly don't even want to talk to. After that, I will have to go through my photos because I have a scary lot of photos. And I know that many of them are just the same photo taken 10 times or failed attempts to take a video like this. And I brought a big bag for all the stuff. And I brought a big bag, which is amazing. But even if you're not taking millions of photos, go through your camera roll and look for photos of people who are not in your life anymore and either delete them or put them into a hidden folder so you don't accidentally bump into them when you go through your photos. And then what I will have to do, because I realized what a negative effect it had on my mood in the past months, is to delete old playlists because music can take you back in time like nothing else. Especially when it's connected to a strong memory. So yeah, if you have any more ideas or feel like I forgot anything, comment down below. I'm thankful for any additional tip and I will definitely try it. Can you believe that I started this whole reset on December 18th and today is New Year's Eve? It took so much longer than I thought. Okay, to be fair, I've had some very busy Christmas days, but I thought by now I would be done. But yeah, it's the last day of the year and I still don't have any goals, no vision board, nothing. And you cannot imagine how much I want to do this vision board, which is for me the most fun part, while all of this is very much not fun for me. But I did this last year. I jumped right into the goal setting and vision board making and see where it got me. So this year we're doing this properly, no matter how long it takes. Anyway, over to the most important part of this reset, which is the mental reset. Because if you think about it, you spend 24/7 up there, so we better make sure it's in the best condition possible. Which means, just like in the physical environment, we need to declutter. Starting with the mental to-do list. So all the things that we know we have to do and we try to remember, but for some reason we haven't done them yet. But the good news is it's not about finishing all tasks. It's about letting it all out. Because even if you don't think about it consciously all the time, it's still in there taking up space, especially if you don't have any reminders and you just trust yourself to remember. So what we need to do here is to let it all out and assign a due date. You don't have to do all of them immediately. Do whatever you can. And for the rest, set up reminders on your phone so your brain is not in charge anymore and can let go of all this mental responsibility. But yeah, easier said than done, because for me this list is so long and I think 80% is way over its due date. I mean, even if I just look around in this room, like we moved in March this year and we still haven't put up a single picture on the walls. But I'm a perfectionist and I couldn't handle a crooked picture, so I know it's gonna be a very, very long process, which is why I've been procrastinating it. Also, we're still missing some furniture here. And then all the doctor's appointments I have to make and all the clothes I have to sell now that I reorganized my closet. And oh my god, this is gonna be a long, long list. Okay, that was the easy part. Now we have to go into our mental storage unit and look for all these negative emotions that we usually try to avoid, like hate, anger, heartbreak, guilt. Anything that we like to put into a box and hide in a dark corner and drag with us for months or even years. Because these emotions will always keep you in the past, no matter how much you try to escape it. And I can tell you this from my own experience. A few years ago, I've had a long-term relationship that ended with cheating and very bad mistreatment and left me completely traumatized. But I'm a person who likes peace, and in these situations, I try to be the better person. So I never properly let out my anger. I never screamed and said all the things I wanted to say, but instead kept being nice and put all these negative emotions into a box and just hid it somewhere, hoping they would disappear. But the thing is, after a while, I got over that person. I moved on. I'm obviously in a new happy relationship, but that box of negative emotions and resentment is still there. And it keeps popping up in random moments, like when I'm brushing my teeth, when I'm in the shower, doing my makeup, completely randomly. And it sends me back into that time and it makes me spiral again. It makes me doubt myself, my current relationship for absolutely no reason. So even though that person is not in my life anymore, they still have a negative effect on my life. So even though I do have the right to be angry and hate them, the only person that suffers from that is me. The best thing I can do for myself is to forgive them and let it go. So if you're like me and you have a lot of anger, a lot of unsaid things, you could either write it down and reflect on it or write a letter to that person. Don't send it, just write the letter as if you're talking to that person and then burn the paper. Get rid of it. Do a funeral or whatever helps you to visualize that these emotions are gone. But you should not reach out, except of course you did something wrong and you're guilty. In that case, you should definitely reach out to that person and apologize, no matter how long ago it was. And then, depending on a person's feelings, you either get that person back and have a happy ending, or you at least know that you did your part, you took responsibility, and now you can let it go. Because what many people don't realize is that guilt is almost as bad as hate in terms of keeping you in the past and hurting your mental health. So this step is definitely not about pride or looking nice. You will probably need a lot of tissues, a tea, and some time for yourself, but it's very important that you do this. And I'm partly saying this to myself because I've been avoiding this in the past, obviously, and it held me back so much. Okay, done. And honestly, it was so helpful because, first of all, it made me realize that I'm much less angry than I thought. Like, once you get the chance to actually let it out, you sometimes realize that it doesn't even matter anymore. The only issue I realized is that I don't know how to get rid of this because I don't want it in my house and I want to, like, actually do something cool with it. But burning it. It's probably not the best idea in this house. I don't have a good insurance for like burning down my flat because of a letter. So I don't know. Okay, I think I know what I'm doing with this letter. I will put it into the compostable garbage, so hopefully it can be turned into fertilizer, which would be quite a poetic ending if you think about it. Okay, now that we threw out all our emotional baggage, it's finally time for the part I was looking forward the most in this reset, which is the reflection. Because so far this whole reset was just about leaving everything behind, but there's also a lot of knowledge and lessons in the past that we should take with us into our new lives. Now, there are a million ways to do this, and honestly, you should do whatever feels the most natural to you. I know a lot of people use journaling and shadow work prompts. I personally don't like journaling that much because I have kind of an ADHD brain that loves to jump around like a bunny after 3 cans of Red Bull. So I will need a more strategic framework here to keep my brain on a short leash. So for this, I will use my vision board from last year and go through every goal and ask myself 3 questions. First, have I achieved the goal? Second, if not, is it even still relevant? Like, throughout the year, our priorities change, and sometimes we realize that some goals are not serving us or are not as important as we thought. And that's completely normal because this vision board is for a whole year and a lot of things change throughout the year. And 3, if it's still relevant and I haven't achieved it, what mindset or behavior blocked me? And here it's very important to go inwards and not look for external reasons. So let me go through a few goals as an example. So here my goal was to invest more into my self-care, and honestly I haven't really achieved it. Even though I did invest more than last year, it was very inconsistent and it was the first thing that I cut out in stressful times. And I felt like I don't have time for that. But there is a saying that you have time for everything as long as it's important enough. So it was just that it wasn't a priority in my mind. Also here, my goal was to take care of my mental health and meditate, which I completely failed. Like, I think I've meditated like 7 times that year, which was only for my Navy SEAL video. So yeah. And the reason for that is that, again, I was not prioritizing myself, but every other thing. Then I've had this, which was to start doing stand-up comedy. But that's one of those goals that I realized throughout the year I don't want to pursue right now because it takes a lot of time and I want to invest that time in other parts of my life right now. But fun fact, I also wanted to do this to get rid of my stage fright. So what I did instead was to participate in a game show by Amazon Prime. And that's also the reason why I love vision boards, because they inspire us to do side quests that we usually wouldn't have done. So yeah, I won't bore you with all the goals. I will now go through each of them and write everything down. Now, after reflecting on my goals, I went through all my notes again and wrote a list of all my blockers. These are the things I need to work on in this reinvention in order to actually be able to change my life, because they held me back in the past and I have to make sure they don't block me in the future. And now, to end this whole reset on a positive note, I will go through my camera roll and write down all the things that made me happy in the past year, because these are the things I want to keep in my life and even add more into my future in order to live a happier life, which after all is the most important achievement in life. Speaking of achievements, if you made it this far, you can be super proud of yourself, because deciding to do this reset instead of jumping right into the goal setting already puts you ahead of 90% of people. And you're in the best state possible to now step into your new dream identity, which we will talk about in the next video. So if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next part. I truly appreciate you being here. It truly felt like we were doing this together, which makes it so much easier. So thank you so much for watching and hope to see you in the next one. Bye! Yeah, that's future Vicky's problem. Ow! Oh, that didn't hurt.